Hi guys, today I have with us something very special. I've not been a fan of these big laptops, but this one got my attention. Let me just show you why in the next few minutes. So today I have with me the Dell Inspiron 16-inch 5620. This is a very unique size because this is one of the last Dell Inspiron series. Remember, sometimes back, Dell decided that they were not going to label their laptops according to different models like Dell XPS, Dell Inspiron, Dell Latitude, but will only have single Dell laptops with different properties. As I said earlier, this is the Dell Inspiron 16 5620 model, and as you can see, this is how it is. It is 16-inch. As you know, I normally don't like 16-inch laptops because they are very big, bulky, and of course there are so many disadvantages. But this one, it really got my attention because there are few things that, despite it being big, there's so many things that will make me to compromise that aspect and actually decide to go for this. Now, as usual, the body design is very compact, firm, and premium because we have aluminum chassis right over here, and even as you can see, the silver color. This is the Dell logo as usual. Even on the sides, it's still aluminum. The bottom cover is still aluminum, so it's pretty stiff and strong. On the keyboard side, as you can see, this is how it looks like. Just hold on for a moment because right over here, just by first glance, you'll already notice those aspects that at least makes me want to consider having or owning this Dell machine, because this is just a review piece. Have a look at the trackpad, how big it is. Have a look at the keyboard, where we have the speakers. Have a look at the screen. What do you think about the bezels? Just before I get to that, let's have a look at the ports first. On the left hand side, see we have the traditional Dell small pin charger. Then you have HDMI 1.4 here that supports 4K. You have USB 3.2 Gen A port. Then you have USB Thunderbolt port, 3 ports right over here. You can see for high speed data transfer. It also supports charging. So if you don't have this small pin Dell charger, you can also use 65 watts charger, that is Type-C, just to charge the laptop. Then on the right hand side, we have audio jack port right over here, USB 3.2 Gen A port. Then you have full size SD card reader here, just direct from your camera to insert it right over here. So this is something advantageous for content creators who normally use cameras. This is for you guys. At the bottom cover of it, this is how it looks like. We have the Inspiron labeling over there. So many manufacturer details right over here. We have another aspect that I really love. There's a very big ventilation slot right over here. And I know it might not be visible, but we have the fan right over here. So cooling is pretty much sufficient on this machine. We have these rubbers that are usually so crucial on most of these laptops to help it have a proper grip on the table. And then they are elevated to a certain height. You can see from there, there's a certain height to elevation to lift up the laptop from the table so that you have proper air circulation. On this other side, we have this interesting addition on this part. You can see there's something that has been added over here. See, I know maybe you might be wondering what's the function of this, but it's so critical because if you happen to lift up the lid of this machine, actually let's just try the one finger lift of the lid to see if it's works on this particular model. I'll do it, and unfortunately it's not working because you see this lower part is being lifted with the lid, so it doesn't qualify for that. But as you lift up the lid, there's something that happens to the bottom part of it. That additional this part here, it helps lift up the laptop from the table so as to increase the amount of airflow underneath the laptop. And as you can see on my hand right over here, you see there's just space that is being created by this additional part we have on the laptop. So that was very calculative from Dell, and I actually loved it. Now, have a look at the keyboard. We have the keyboard is small sized. I think they decided to compress it right over here, which is somehow not a good idea. But you realize that most of us, we normally don't use the numerical part of the keyboard. I think that's why they decided, even though it was going to be 16-inch machine, they decided to abolish the numerical part so that you just have the compressed keyboard right over here. So right at the center here, it might not be the strongest because if you press on it like this, it sinks in. But the keyboard, the travel distance, I really loved it. The travel distance of the keys is so nice. And then it's backlit. Let me just turn off the light to see how good the distribution of backlit is. So as you can see, the backlit or the light distribution on the keys is so good, and that means that you can be able to use this machine in rooms that do not have light comfortably without struggling. This is why we have the backlit icon. This is how you know if your laptop has a backlit keyboard. If you don't see this, then it doesn't support backlit capabilities. Sometimes it's around F5, otherwise it's around F10, so it depends. But look for an icon that looks like this, not this one. This one is just for brightness for the display. Right on the keyboard here, you see we have fingerprint scanner added here to the keyboard. It's not placed anywhere uniquely, but right here. I really love having the fingerprint scanner on the power button because it helps and it's easier to at least power off the machine. And then this key is not the same as these other keys because these ones have springs, you can see, but this one is a bit mechanical. It's like it has a button underneath it, so you have to press on it, feel the button so as to turn off the machine. You see this ventilation slot we have over here for speakers for upward firing on both on the right and left. Remember, this is a 16-inch machine and this slot is so big, so you expect this machine to produce sound that is so massive and of high volume range. Actually, upon testing, the only machine that I felt maybe has better speakers than this are the MacBooks from 2019. Those are the ones that have better speakers because these speakers, the sound quality coming over here in terms of the bass, even the mids, it's crispy, clear, and for entertainment purposes or maybe for editing of certain video or just want to listen to the clips, you won't need to have your headphones in place because the sound coming over here, it's just pretty much enough. Something that I really love is that the sound, it's evenly distributed right on top here, so you won't get to notice even if it's coming from right or left, despite the speakers being upward firing and the ports being just visible, as opposed to the other machines where we have the speakers being down firing. I'll do the sound test for the speakers just for you to have a listen. Then we have a very big trackpad here. This is something that is very common on MacBooks. So big trackpad. I know maybe you might be wondering why is the trackpad so big. Having a big trackpad like this on a big machine like this helps you so that whenever you're navigating, maybe let's assume you're typing something, it's easier for you to switch your hands between the trackpad and the keyboard. It supports multi-gesture functions, like you can use your three thumbs, see what's happening on the screen. There are a lot of functions that you can do with this trackpad. I'm not going to talk about that today, but I really love how the trackpad is. And remember, it's a glass surface, so it won't get to wear out easily. Just have a look at how slim the bezel is. Very slim. So slim. Guys, I really love this because we have a 16-inch screen and we are going to use it maximally or fully because you know, some of these machines, they might be having like, let's say 14-inch screen or 15-inch screen, but the bezel is so big that it doesn't look even nice. But here you have a very good or a very big screen to deal with. The only disadvantage of this screen is that it's not that bright. The maximum brightness of this screen is around 250 nits. So even as you can see from here, it's not that bright. Let me just reduce the brightness so that you see the difference. You see, now that is like the final brightness levels, and if you bring it up to 50 nits, so it means if you use this machine in a well-lit environment like outdoors, then you'll be disadvantaged because you won't be able to see clearly what's on the screen because the brightness level is a bit low. At least they could have made it 400 nits brightness. That would have been better, but this is not that good. And then anti-reflection capability, see here we have the light that we are using here. See the reflection, so it's not that good for reflection. That is something that I really didn't like about the screen. And nonetheless, the screen is full HD. So you can see the screen is full HD. We have 1920 by 1200 resolution. The only disadvantage again with the screen is that the color concentration is a bit low. We have 45% NTSC coverage for this, so it means the color sRGB ratio is a bit low, color concentration a bit low, so it's just comfortable for watching videos, maybe movies, browsing. It's quite okay. But if you're doing things like photo editing or video editing, serious and professional ones, then you'll be a bit disappointed because the color distribution or concentration is not that good. If you're a Mac user, then you understand what I'm talking about because most of the MacBook screens, the color concentration is always so strong and efficient for video editors and photo editors. Other than that, let's now have a look at the internal properties. I normally recommend for you to just have a closer view of all the internal properties. Use Control Shift and Escape so that you get to the Task Manager. Then at the Task Manager, come to the Performance tab right over here. This is the Performance tab. So at the Performance tab here, let me just maximize this so that you have a clear view. First, let's have a look at the CPU. So you can see the CPU here, it's 12th Gen Core i5 1235U. That is visible from the sticker we have here. This is a sticker that indicates 12th Gen, 11th Gen or 13th Gen. Then you see for the memory, now just before I go to the memory, this is the most interesting part about this machine because it's not only big, but at least it has something that justifies the bigness of the machine, like the hugeness of it. You see here we have number of cores. We have 10 cores. Yeah, there's something else I'll show you about the cores in the BIOS, but just look over here. We have 10 cores and 12 logical processors. So it means if you're somebody who's going to multitask, even though the base speed right over here might look low, don't judge it by just having a look at the base speed because this machine can turbo boost up to 4.4 gigahertz. So this is only a speed that it's made to run on so that when you're doing light tasks, it doesn't overheat, the fan doesn't spin so loud. Actually right now you see it's on and you're not doing anything, so you expect it to be so quiet. Just have a listen. You can't even hear the fan spinning, so it's operating at very low speeds. And see here the current speed is around 1.4 gigahertz, so its base speed is so low and it doesn't overheat, it's just quiet. Now having 12 logical processor means if you're doing something that demands more processors like rendering, opening a lot of tabs at the same time, Chrome tabs, opening a lot of applications at the same time, then you're good to go with this machine because this amount of processors and cores, they are so sufficient for multitasking. Here you might be disadvantaged because you have 8 GB of RAM, but again just have a look at over here. You see slots use is 1 out of 2, then the form factor, it's sodium, so it means you can be able to expand the RAM on this machine so that we add, and even the single RAM speed is 3200 megahertz, which is pretty high speed. So you can add another RAM here on the empty slot to make it 16, or you add 16 GB RAMs to make it 32 GB of RAM. That is something that at least it's advantageous on this one over here to support you multitasking and just running heavier applications. For the storage, we have an NVMe of 512 GB SSD, you can see over there, and then the type you can see is SSD 512. You can upgrade that to 1 TB if you want. If you don't love having big storage, then you can downgrade it, but why do that? And then for Wi-Fi, you can see here we have Wi-Fi 6. Yeah, remember for the Wi-Fi adapter, it's where we have the Bluetooth adapter too. So for the Bluetooth compatibility here, we have Bluetooth 5.3. That is advantageous too, because remember Bluetooth 5.3 has a bigger Bluetooth range compared to the lower Bluetooth like 4.0 and 5.0, so it's much better. Then for the GPU, there is something that is usually very important in machines. You see the GPU over here is Intel Ultra HD graphics, and I remember it's integrated. So currently, because we have 4 GB of RAM, we only have around 8 GB of integrated graphics. This is not the one of the most powerful graphics around, but it's better. You can still handle like office works, like you can put your video editing application right over here, Adobe Premiere Pro, Adobe Lightroom, and AutoCAD or CAD software like AutoCAD, ArchiCAD. All those softwares can run on this machine smoothly without struggle. And for video editors, if editing videos for less than 4K, that is full HD videos, then it will be much easier to edit those videos, but you'll just have to upgrade the RAM to make it 16 GB of RAM. Otherwise, you're good to go with this. Even though it doesn't have a dedicated graphic card, which might help those who love gaming, this is not a gaming machine. It's just a professional machine for students and work or office environments. Finally, there's something here that is so important. You see the camera we have over here. In most of these laptops, we normally have cameras that are of 720 HD, but over here they added a camera that is of 1080 HD, so it's a very sharp camera, and it's good for office Zoom call meetings, Skype, even though Skype is not there, but at least anything that will require you to have a face video call or meeting, then you're pretty much well advantaged. And then we also have a shutter right over here. So you see, you don't have to place a selector over here to cover the camera. That is something I loved about it there. We have dual microphones over here. So we'll just put it to test to see how good the camera is. And so guys, this is the camera. This is how it is. I know maybe I might be a bit darker. It's because of the lighting is not that good, but at least there's no flickering in the camera. I don't know how good the sound quality is, but I expect it to be good. And let me know what you think about this camera, because actually it was 1080, but I don't think it looks like 1080. It looks actually like 720. Let me know about that. Was it just by design they decided to say that it's 1080, even though on test it looks like 720? I don't know. Let me know in the comment section. And finally, we can't close this chapter without talking about the battery life of this machine, because this is a very big laptop, and I don't have the permission to open the back cover, but because it's a big one, the battery is so big, we have a battery that lasts you. If you get it new like the one I have over here, expect the battery to last you between 9 to 10 hours. If you get it refurbished, then expect the battery to last you between around 4 to 6 hours on the maximum, if you're just doing your normal task and not heavy task. But if you're doing heavy task, then expect the battery to last a bit lower, because heavy tasks are so demanding on the processor and on the battery. I said I was going to show you something on the BIOS. Let me just shut it down so that I get to the BIOS to show you something. So let me just turn it on. So to get to the BIOS of Dell, any Dell laptop, to get to the BIOS, you just have to power on the laptop. Then before it turns on, press on F2. See, press on F2 so that you interrupt the booting up process to get to the BIOS. Yeah, so you see preparing BIOS, and now we are at the BIOS. This is what I was supposed to show you at the BIOS. See here, we have the model of the laptop. This is Dell Inspiron 165620. Then right over here, we have the processor type is 12th gen, as I said. Maximum clock speed, have a look at what we have over here. The maximum clock speed is 4.0 gigahertz. Minimum clock speed is 0.4 gigahertz. Current base speed, because we are the BIOS, we have it being indicated there as 3.56. And here we have core count 2 plus 8. This is 2 performance cores and 8 efficiency cores. for the performance cores. These are cores that the laptop normally use these cores for high or demanding tasks. That's why they're called performance cores. Then 8 cores, efficiency cores. These are cores that at least they'll ensure that you're using the laptop at the right speeds. They'll be called upon whenever there's need, so that it doesn't consume so much power, it doesn't overheat, and it doesn't make the laptop to struggle while you're using it. We have so much details here about the processor that maybe you could have a look at them on your own. Memory speed, as I said earlier, memory channel, we have single, and then you can see the second slot 1 is 8 GB, slot 2 it's written empty, so this is where you add your other RAM. What I love about this Dell interface, it's a bit graphical and it's more detailed. Everything you need to know about this machine, everything is here. Even for the storage, you can be able to see the amount of storage you have right over here, or the type of storage. See here, it's RAID, so and then M2, PCIe SSD, all the details that you need to know about your storage. See here, 512 GB SSD. So that is something I really love about the BIOS on Dell laptops. These, especially from 10th generation, 11th generation, the BIOS, it's so advanced, so graphical. In fact, just look over here, you can be able to search anything on the BIOS. It's like you are running an OS on the BIOS. Otherwise, that is all that I love to talk about on this Dell machine. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this Dell Latitude. It's sad that it's a bit pricey. Over here in my country, it goes around $660, so it's a bit expensive. Refurbished one, a new one, I know it's more than $1,000, so that's the only downside of this machine, but I think overall it's worth it. Very strong, powerful at the same time. Despite not having a dedicated graphic card, it's still very much worth it. Efficient for office work, for students. I think you should give it a chance. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section, and see you on the next one. Another review like this one. Don't forget to leave a like and don't forget to subscribe to this channel.